Perfect. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Marcy. I run the community programs at Fiverr. We are so excited to have you today. We're excited to have Georgie today to talk about not overworking during COVID-19 and how to stay productive too. She's an expert in the virtual event space, and so she knows quite a lot about that. She's been very busy lately. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Georgie. Go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much, Marcy. As she mentioned, I am an expert in the virtual event space, and this has been for the last almost 3 years now. I've been consulting, and now with the boom of COVID and things getting crazy and everybody shifting to online courses, online events, I'm one of the first people that a lot of folks are contacting, which has been a blessing because being able to help people continue to bring their ideas to life, connect with their communities, connect with their families. Just the other day we hosted a virtual college summit, and about 6 students got Mac Minis. So being able to offer that opportunity still, that would have not existed if they completely canceled the event due to the crisis. So today, as Marcy mentioned, I'll be sharing my screen and talking to you guys about managing and staying 5 ways to stay productive and avoid burnout, especially during this time. I know it's a crazy season, and I know for folks that work in a tech or startup or digital ecosystem, your work has probably doubled or tripled no matter what industry you're in. Customer service, so many different industries, their work has doubled or tripled, whereas the other end of the spectrum, certain workers that cannot work remotely or their jobs don't offer that option, they have lost their jobs, they have not been able to maintain career opportunities. And so the world is shifting for all of us, but just for everyone, we need to keep our sanities, we need to not burn out, we need to not overwork, but also still, how can we stay productive? So that's what this workshop is going to be about. Again, my name is Georgie-Ann Getton-Mckoy, but calling me Georgie is totally fine. And you can find me on all social media at GSD with Georgie. Okay. So I am an execution strategist, and what that means is that I help individuals and companies take a look at their resources and their goals to figure out how best to use their current resources, so their current time, energy, money, whatever resources that they have on hand to get to their goals. I became an execution strategist because I was coming across a lot of individuals and organizations that would say, oh, I don't have enough this, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, I don't have that thing yet. And I realized that saying that I don't have enough of XYZ was a blocker that a lot of individuals put on themselves, instead of saying, okay, this is what I do have. How can I use what I do have? You can't do anything with what you don't have, but you can do a lot with what you do have. So that's who I am. And I apply this to myself as a woman of color, a young mom. I was a teen mom. I had to figure, okay, how can I make what I have work twice as much as what I want to get to my goals? And that's exactly what I did. And then I started the organization GSD-Mckoy, which one of our main brands is GSD Solutions, which is a branding and consulting agency to help individuals and companies create innovative, inclusive, and experience-driven brands. And one of our primary services on there has been online event production, online streaming, course creation, audiobook, and book creation. So just getting content out there to better engage your audience that will convert into audience engagement and sales. So organic engagement and sales. And you can find me on LinkedIn at GSD with Georgie, as well as all social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at GSD with Georgie. This is just a little insight about me. I've been doing events and programming for the last, I would say 6 to 7 years. In 2018, I digitized all of those events and all of those programmings, and that kind of is what got me here today. And one last thing, so if you guys could throw in the chat, why did you register for this workshop? What are you hoping to take away? What are you hoping to get out of this workshop today? And I'll be checking the chat shortly when we go back to our Q&A. And if you guys have questions while I'm presenting, please put those into the Q&A section. Happy to answer any questions that you have. Again, I've been doing remote working, working in a digital ecosystem, working in the startup ecosystem, for being my own boss for the last 7 years. And so I have a lot I could answer, or a lot of feedback I could give to anyone out there that's listening and at the presentation today. So, I'm here to help. Please ask those questions. Happy to answer them when the workshop is finished. So for the 5 strategies, the first strategy is to do one thing at a time. And, this might sound redundant. I'm pretty sure you've heard this before, but what you might have not heard before is that multitasking is a lie, right? Oftentimes, people will say, oh, I'm a multitasker. I'm the jack of all trades. I'm Superwoman, Superman. And you put this role on your resume. Because I know growing up, I was told, put multitasking on your resume. You can do many things at once. You're such a, doer, busy, busy, busy. And I thought this was a skill until I realized like this was not a skill. This is not something that I wanted to own, because doing multiple things at a time leads you to being less productive and less and lowers the quality of the work that you output. And so multitasking is not true. And let me break that down a little further for you. When you are multitasking, whatever resource that you have, right? The execution strategist, we focus on your resources, your time, energy, and money is split multiple different ways. So if you have one task to do, right, you get to spend all of your time, money, resources, and energy on that one task. But if you're trying to multitask, right, you're spending 20% on one task, 40% on another task, 40% on another task. And this is just being conservative, right? In New York City, where I currently am, as well as in the United States, and all over the world, big busy cities, people are working. So you could find somebody trying to do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things at once. So the fact that I even put 3 was a little bit more conservative than most people try to do when they're multitasking, right? So why would I suggest focusing on one thing? You don't have enough time to focus on one thing. That's what you might think, but that's also not true. And here's how I'm going to break it down and explain to you, right? When you're doing one thing at a time, the way you should think of it as you having, your one main task. And then underneath that main task, you have subtasks. And underneath those subtasks, you have microtasks. We've all seen bullet point paragraphs and bullet points. So you have the first thing, the sub thing, and then the super sub thing. So, and I have an example up here on the screen for you guys, right? Really easy way to think of it. So let's say you have a new product or service you want to add to your online store, right? It seems like, oh, that's just one thing that I could add to my task list of, other 20 things that I'm doing. But in reality, adding a new product is one task, and it has a bunch of parts inside of that task, a bunch of components. So the first component, and when you want to add a new product, is you have to source the product, right? So this is your first subtask. Then you have to create the product SKUs, your second subtask, price the product. And then now if we start thinking about, and you can go on and have a whole long list of 20 subtasks, but it's still going into and feeding back into that main task. So the one thing that you're doing is the main task, but again, the responsibilities and the actions under that of the subtask and the micro task. So for example, with the source the product, that's a subtask, but under that subtask, the micro task could include calling the supplier, ordering the inventory, picking the colors, testing it out, right? So that's all that's in, researching the ingredients. So many different components come under sourcing the product. And oftentimes where people go wrong is that they'll look at, adding a new product as this one, not looking at it as a one thing or one task to do, but they're just say, okay, this is something small. There's no subtask, there's no micro task. And then they mess it up because there's so many pieces missing. Oh, I forgot to test if these ingredients were the right ingredients. And then now you're having a recall. We've seen these in the public. We've seen these things happen in the real world where businesses are recalling things left and right because, again, they didn't really look at it as the one main task with a bunch of subtasks or micro tasks. They're just like, oh, we're going to just do this one task of, the 20 tasks and just move on. So things get missed. But if you work on one thing at a time, one task, subtask, micro task, you're more likely to get it done more effectively and more efficiently with higher quality. And I didn't mention this before, but I am an avid reader. I love to read. So far this year, I've read 10 books, and we are just in May, and I would have read more, but COVID got me a little crazy, guys. And so a book suggestion here is The One Thing by Gary Keller. This is a great book that backs it up with stats and research and facts. If you're more of like, I need to see the proof, right? This girl is telling me to do one thing, but I'm a multitasker. I have to stick with this. So this book will get you out of your head to make you say, okay, wow, like, this has worked for many successful people. It's going to work for me. It's a real strategy. I need to just focus on doing the one thing. Strategy number 2, plan ahead. And I know this could feel, very heart-wrenching as a task because we are in very unprecedented times, uncertain times. I know you guys have heard those two words a whole lot over the last couple of weeks, especially as we, watch TV and commercials, unprecedented times. But planning ahead is actually what is allowing a lot of the businesses that are still being successful and still carrying on and still able to help others out there keep going, right? And I myself, my organization, we had a plan for the whole entire year. We had to make tweaks and edits to that plan, but it's still, we had a plan. We had something to start with. But if you don't have something to start with, a plan, then when things happen and shake up the entire ecosystem, you do not know what to do. You're scrambling, you're, confused. You don't know how to, increase business. You just get all stir crazy, and that is what could lead to some folks becoming unsuccessful. And if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And I learned this really young, and it never came out of my head. So I'm gonna give you guys a little pop quiz. What blogs will you be writing in the next month? If anybody here is a blogger, the next 2 weeks, the next week even, right? How many products or services will you launch in Q2, right? We're about to finish Q2 and then we're going to go into Q3. What are your holiday sales looking like for your business promotions of Q4 2020? We're in a crisis right now, but Christmas is still coming. I'm pretty sure a lot of stores have still sold out for Mother's Day. Then there's Father's Day. Then there's Memorial Day. People are finding new ways to engage on these days, but they're still happening. So don't say, oh, we don't know what's going to happen. People don't have money. Don't worry about all of that. Create your plan, execute on your plan. If it doesn't work, you can always edit, pivot, and change. But if you have no plan, you have nothing to ground you. You have no foundation, no starting point. And, again, things could change, but if you have a plan, you could maintain and keep going when things become inconsistent in your life. And also, when you have a plan, if you need to outsource parts of that plan, and we'll talk about outsourcing in a few, you can actually successfully do that. You can then say, okay, I can hand this activity over to a virtual assistant, a technical support person, a person on Fiverr. Hello. And we're going to talk about that also in a few. But if you have a plan, it's easier to pass it over, hand it on. But if you have no plan, you can't do anything at that point. Now resources, right? I don't want to give you guys tips and these imaginary things to do without actually giving you resources, because again, this is all about avoiding burnout, taking actionable steps, and really keeping productive. So it's all about doing. And if you saw my introduction, my brand is GSD. If you guys want to put in the chat, if you know what that stands for, if you want to guess what that stands for, because we're keeping it, PG here, but GSD. If you want to get it done, you have to take action, and you need to know what resources to help you take action. So some of my top favorite planning resources include building out, an online calendar. So I live by my calendar, right? If I wasn't using my phone to keep time, I would show you guys all the tasks live in my online calendar. Then the second thing now is a physical calendar. This lives in my office. It goes with me in my book bag. It goes everywhere that I go. I literally have a physical calendar attached alongside my online calendar, because things get crazy. And sometimes you just want to write it down. I have a bunch of Post-its all over my desk and my computer. So I'm always planning, always tracking my plan. And then also having planners and journal. So many documents around my desk, and this is the fun stuff. So I even created a customized planner and journal, because that's how much I plan. I want to know what's happening, where it's happening, why it's happening, writing it down, sharing it with my team, sharing it with the people that I outsource to and have an assistance that I have. But the key thing here to remember is to plan as far as you can. You could always edit and change a plan later, but if you have no plan, you have no starting point, you have no foundation, you have nothing to fall back on. Strategy number 3 is automate. This is one of my favorite things to do, because if you're listening closely, I have children. I said I was a teen mom, but not only do I have one child, I have 2. And currently with COVID, I am in a household with 5 other people, Monday through Sunday, every single day. So automating things allows me to get back that time to be able to do homeschooling, engage with the family, cook, clean, laundry, live, watch some TV, because I still want to enjoy all these things. So automating has allowed me to get back a lot of my time on my schedule before COVID, during COVID, and it's going to keep doing that after it. So, let the technology do the work for you, right? Your resources are limited. How can you execute and keep your, plan effective? Automation. So I'm going to go over a few of my favorite automation tools, and you guys will research some more automation tools a little bit later, but these ones have allowed me to get back my time and not really burn out. So the first one is Hootsuite. So Hootsuite allows you to schedule your social media posts. I think they have like a free trial, but the monthly is about $45. But guess what? For $45, I'm getting hours back of my time. I spend maybe 1 to 2 days a month on, planning for social media. So I'll schedule up to, 3, 4, 5 posts for the day, for a month at a time, 2 months at a time. Even I have done even 3 months at a time, because I just want to get this out there. I know what my funnel looks like. I know what my campaigns look like. I know what I'm marketing, because of my plan. Hello, right? So I had my plan and I knew exactly what I was marketing, knew exactly what I was doing. And then I put them in a scheduler and it's going out. If you could see here, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, it's just going out. It's engaging with people. People are commenting. It's leading to sales, all the fun stuff. Check out Hootsuite. Great service. Zapier. So Zapier, and some people say it another way. I don't even know how, but I say Zapier. It connects apps. So are you ever on a platform that you wish to connect with some other tool that you use? For example, if you're in, Gmail, and you're like, I wish every time that somebody sends me a photo as an attachment, it just automatically goes into Drive. I hate coming in here, then downloading it into my computer, then upload it into the Drive, or coming in here and then clicking add to Drive, and I got to organize and I have to do this. But if every email that came from either a specific person or a specific had like a specific name or title or subject just went straight to a specific folder in my Drive, that would save me so much time. I know you've thought of something like this, or this app doesn't connect with this, but it would make my life so much easier. Why don't my Stripe payments automatically go into my Excel sheet that I'm using to track my finances, right? Zapier allows you to connect apps and tools and software that is not already pre-connected. So a lot of places have like G Suite and Gmail integration, but a lot of tools don't. So Zapier is a platform that connects apps that have not already been connected, so that way you just have like a zap, and it then using the APIs for the different platforms makes it so seamless to connect things that were never even connected before. Saves you lots of time, energy, and money too. And they have like a freemium model depending on how many zaps you do per month. That's how it's charged. Calendly. I talked about my calendars, y'all. So I have my physical calendar, my digital calendar, my Calendly, because who wants to go back and forth, right? I have 2 children, homeschooling, doing all these things, running a business. I don't have time to go back and forth 40 emails to figure out that Tuesday at noon does not work for our meeting. So what I do, hey, you want to meet with me? Here's my Calendly link, and it sends, that person now could look at their calendar, look at mine, they find a mutual time, it automatically sends them a calendar invite, it automatically sends them the link to join if we're using Zoom, or if we're using, another platform, or if it's just a phone call, I get the details. If it's like a proposal or a consultation, whatever it is, here's a link, schedule it, I'll see you there. I don't have to worry. I don't have to go back and forth, and this has saved me hours. So Calendly also has freemium model. So if you want just one event, so if my only event was went too far, chat with Georgie, then I think that's the free plan. But if you want multiple events, and you could schedule all the events in different times. And one of my other favorite tools is that it pulls in all your calendar. So I have my personal calendar, I have the calendar with the kids stuff, I have the calendar with different businesses and brands that I've worked with and clients. So you can merge all those calendars, so it really knows when you're truly available, versus saying, yeah, I'm available at noon, but you forgot to check your nonprofit calendar and you're actually not available at noon. So Calendly, great tool, saves me so much time, at least. MailChimp, automating your newsletters. So again, similar to a Hootsuite, you have all the things that you want to say, what you want to communicate to your community. You have a little pop-up on your website, they subscribe, you get the message out to them, they engage, boom, you grow your list, you sell whatever you need to sell. You don't have to worry about going in there, did I send the email at this time? It is all pre-scheduled, pre-created, and super easy for me to outsource. And we'll talk about outsourcing in just a minute. We're almost there. So don't wait, automate, right? There's so many things that could be automated. I'm automating emails using tools like Boomerang and Streak, chat bots on my website, Drift, Messenger, Intercom. There's so many ways and tools that I use that I'm like, I do not have all the hours in the day to do these things. So for my days to have, my imaginary 48 hours, I have to automate some of these tools. So people might think it's me responding, but it's not. It's the tool until I then have time to truly respond and truly engage back with you, or back with the person that is reaching out. So do not wait, automate. Strategy number 4 is outsource, right? And this is a Fiverr webinar, so you guys should all be familiar with the outsource life, right? There's a lot of things that you can do, but not everything you should be doing, right? Your time is valuable. If you can outsource a task that could take 7 hours to somebody in a different country, or even in the same country, that paying somebody else for those 7 hours would allow you to have time to nap, have time to spend with your family, have time to go outside for a walk, right? A socially distant walk. Let's just get that clear. Socially distant walk. Outsourcing tasks that are simple, repetitive, just work that you don't want to do, or if you could train somebody to do it. And the comparison, we mentioned automation before, and people always ask, what's the difference with automating and outsourcing? So think of it as when you're outsourcing, you're using a human, and when you're automating, you're using the technology. So that's the easiest way to compare it. Outsource, human, automate, technology. And Fiverr, hello, like we can't skip over this. So I created my first Fiverr account back in 2014 or early 2015, I believe. And I was just doing gigs. At the time I had just started doing graphic design, and I wanted to get more clients, and I was just, making little logos and samples of things. And I've been a user ever since, because it's just such an easy tool to use. You can, again, most of the service start at $5. You could find all the things. So when I used to build websites on like Weebly, and I didn't know how to do SEO, or I didn't want to do SEO, I found someone to do that when I was publishing my book. So I had, I self-published last year. I didn't want to format or figure out, I could have Googled and figured out how to format, but I didn't want to invest in that, my time, right? My time was the value that I was bargaining. So I just, okay, let me look up somebody, and I found a bunch of people, and, my book was edited, formatted through a person on Fiverr, and I then sent multiple clients to that person, because again, once I published my book, then I also help other people publish their ebooks. And now that person that published that edited my book and formatted my book now is getting all the referrals. So everybody that comes to me to work with me for book production, I'm like, hey, just go to this person, it's perfect, it's beautiful, you get it done in this amount of time, it's reasonable rate, and boom, we're done. So just, using these services that are out there and figuring out ways to outsource. And even if you are a Fiverr specialist, right, figure out ways you can outsource parts of your work. There's other experts out there, and maybe you have, you're the guy with 1,000 reviews, and you want to get more clients, you want to get more reviews. You could also outsource to the person that has 22, but they have 5 stars, so that means they could do the quality work. And now you're building out a small contracting team. So outsource. And step number 5, which is also one of my favorite, as you guys could tell, I'm big extrovert, because there's no one here but me and the green screen right now. I can't even see what you guys are saying in the chat, so I'm technically talking to myself. If I want to be really honest, I'm technically talking to myself, but I have all this energy because I'm all about showing the work, showing what I could do, and showing your work, right? A lot of times I hear people say, I want to wait till this is perfect, or I want to wait till it's built out more, or it's done, or it's better. That opportunity does not really exist, right? No matter how great you think you can make it, there's more you could do. So just release it, put it out there into the world. Done is better than perfect. And people want to know what you're working on. If we want to be really honest, people want to know what you're working on so that they can support you. But if you wait until you have this huge shiny product, you don't get that, camaraderie support. It's like, right, people love to support Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaigns when it's just an idea, and then seeing that idea getting built through social media posts or like behind the scenes posts, and then seeing where you start off with like a stick figure, then you write a little circle, then before you know it, you're Picasso, and they're just like, wow, I was a part of that person's journey. I remember when they were riding on a bicycle, and now look at them in that Lamborghini. Wow, right? People want to be a part of your journey. They want to engage with you. They want to see the work that you're doing. They want to come on that journey with you. So allow them to do that. So the first thing you want to, for showing your work, is, create a blog. If you do not have a blog already, you need to make one. Right now is the perfect time to have a blog, whatever content that you're putting out there on social. If you have a podcast, another way to do blogging is like, a vlog or a podcast. Do online webinars. That's exactly what we're at right now. Speak at events, speak at these webinars, show what you're doing, right? Start a YouTube channel. Does not take any type of money. If you have a phone or a computer, and if you're attending this, you have to have either one of them. Record something, even if your camera looks like it's from 1805. People want to see what you're doing. Take selfies, take pictures, take recaps, create vision boards, all of the things. The world needs to know what you're doing and how they can support you. And that only happens if you're showing your work, putting out your things out into the universe and doing it, not just thinking about it or wanting to do it, but actually going out there and doing it. And so this is an example, almost everything that I do, I write a blog about. And it's beautiful, but I've, people have come to me and they're like, hey, Georgie, how do I start a podcast? I'm like, hey, here's this blog post that I wrote about it. And if you need more of a one-to-one assistance, I could do consulting with you, and that actually converts into clients. I'm not expecting it to. I'm just showing my work. I'm just talking about what I'm doing. I'm just sharing my journey. So when I wrote my book, went too fast there. When I wrote my book, I wrote a blog about exactly how to write books. When I learned how to upsell properly, I wrote a blog on how to upsell. When I wrote, did my podcast, here's a blog on exactly how you do it. And from there, that has led to, different consulting clients that just shows me, if I have an assistant or a team member that I hire, I'm like, hey, here's how to do that thing that I did, so that way you can know how I like to do it. You can make a little variations to it, but this is how it's done. So that way I can keep quality control. I do a bunch of courses on different things, but putting it out there is the key. A lot of this stuff was not perfect. It wasn't done. It wasn't beautiful. It was just like, here's what it is. Take it or leave it. And the next step, right? Once it was out there and people started engaging, I started getting feedback and reviews. I was then able to upgrade it. I was able to make it nicer, prettier, more impactful. But if I didn't have that starting point, I would have never been able to go in and advance it and make it better. So you have to start somewhere, and that's just putting it out there before you think it needs to be out there. There's no perfection. There's no, all of this marketing stuff and like the perfect way to launch and all this stuff. It might work, but oftentimes it's just get it out there. That's the secret. Just get it out there, right? All of the secrets is just do it. I hope Nike don't come for me, but that's literally it. Just go out there and do it. Again, another book referral, because your girl loves to read. Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. It's like a nice little cute little book, and it just gives you examples of different ways to share your creativity with the world and get discovered, right? A lot of times when people go viral or get discovered, they're just out there doing what they usually do. They're not doing anything special, and then people are like, wow, that's so cool, and then they share it, and then that person shares it, and then it keeps on being shared, and before you know it, that person has like a big deal, or they become an influencer or a marketer or whatever for these big things. You're like, how did you get that to happen? And it's just like they put themselves out there. So start putting yourself out there more. I know it's a little scary. I know everyone's trying to do something, but guess what? There's certain people, and somebody out there is meant for your specific course, your specific book, your specific blog, your specific podcast, your specific, gig on Fiverr. And if you don't go out there and put that out there, they might end up using another service, reading another book, or doing something else that wasn't meant for them. And they'll be searching for the rest of their lives because you never decided to launch the thing because it wasn't perfect. There's no right time. Things will always happen. There's, if there's not right now, right, there's a crisis, but things are always happening. There's stock markets always crashing. There's world crises. There's natural crises. So just keep it going. Do your best and just show your work and go out there and put it out into the world. And to recap all the 5 strategies, it's the first thing is to do one thing at a time, right? Don't try to multitask. Right now is also not the best time to be multitasking. Focus on one thing. Have your one main task, your subtask underneath that, and then your micro task underneath your subtask. Then plan ahead, right? Use your planner, your calendar, your scheduling tools to plan ahead. If you have a plan, you could at least pivot and make updates to it to make it work for you. But without a plan, if you do not have a plan, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. These are words that I live by, and they are the truth. And then number 3, automate. Let the technology do the work for you. You do not have to spend all this time and energy and then burning out and going stir crazy like, oh my God, I didn't do this, and that. Like, am I scheduled? Did I send out 3 posts today on Instagram? I don't have to worry about that. I'm just like, oh, the phone gonna do it by itself. And then I see all these comments and I'm just like, oh, I forgot that one was today. I surprised myself. I do a daily quote that publishes on my Instagram, and I'll go on Instagram. I'm like, oh, this quote is hitting the spot. Like, this is really good. Like, this is resonating so hard. I'm like, oh wait, I posted that. So like, it automate, and you get your time back. You don't have to go all crazy, and you will not be over. You're not gonna go crazy and be overproductive. Then strategy number 4 is to outsource. There's so many people out there that are in need of work. So many people out there that have too much work on their plate. So I was talking to a colleague the other day. We need to have a platform that You just say all the things that you need to get done without all the extra processes of like signing up. You just say, hey, these are 10 things I need to get done. Who wants to do them? This is my budget. I know, a lot of these platforms do it, but it's just like, I don't even want to think about like signing up or making bids or going through the bids. I'm just like, just somebody here, take it, get it done, and then come back to me. Outsource as best as you can. Let's keep the economy going by outsourcing. And then strategy number 5 is to show your work. We all want to see what you're working on. That's the best way to get out there. That's the best way to get it going. That's the best way to build. And that's the best way to create opportunities for yourself, because opportunities attract opportunities. Once people see you start doing something cool and amazing, then more opportunities will come towards your way, because now you've made yourself available to those opportunities. So show your work, your blog, your vlog, your podcast, write a book, whatever you need to do, and get what you're doing out there into the world. Create a little social media, email, whatever, landing page, just get it out there. Yeah, so that's now the end of my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions that you guys have. My contact information is on the screen. You can find me on all the platforms at GSD with Georgie, and Georgie at GSD with Georgie is my direct email. So you guys could definitely reach out to me. Always happy to support and work with individuals that are out there trying to get more done. Oh, stop moving, mouse. Hey, Marcy.
That was fantastic. That was probably, we should have called that efficiency hour. I think that
or half an hour.
Efficiency half an hour. There you go. I learned so many tricks that I will absolutely be looking into tomorrow. Especially Zapier. I would love to hear a little bit more about that, and maybe just like 2 or 3 examples of what you've automated through Zapier. Do you mind sharing that with us?
Yeah, I could totally share that. So one of them, the first thing that came to my mind was I build websites on a platform, and on WordPress, and I use a plugin called Elementor. And so on the Elementor plugin, the way they have the forms weren't connected to, like, they'll send you an email and you can connect it to certain things like Drip or MailChimp, but I wanted to have everyone that filled out a specific form inside of an Excel spreadsheet. And so all right, my headphones were being a little buggy. And in order to do that, I used a Zapier plugin, so that way, anytime that the form is filled out, it pushes it to a specific Excel sheet, a specific tab actually in an Excel in an Excel sheet that I have, and then it just creates another line, because I like to work from Excel. That's just easier for me, and also called Google Sheets, same thing. And so it just pushed it there. So now I didn't have to go back and look through my emails to see who submitted the form and when they submitted it. It was just all the details are right there, because there wasn't a pre-existing connection there. Another one that I use it for is with, it's either Shopify or WooCommerce, because I also, again, I like my sheets. So anytime somebody made a purchase, it just automatically went to this Google Sheet that I had, and I didn't have to worry about, going into Shopify, exporting all the things and putting it into the sheet and, calculating how much money made from this specific product, compared, because I have like I am a crazy Excel person. I am a math person. I have all these different formulas inside of these sheets. And so instead of like spending whatever time, maybe it took me an hour a week to do that, 2 hours a week to do that, it comes in there, and then the sheet reads the formula based on the tab, and then it's like I come in on the first page and I see all like the stats and the charts, and it's like the way that I want it to be made. So those are 2 examples, and there was another one, and I've used the one where it's certain emails from certain people just automatically get saved to my drive, because I don't have all the time to be scrolling through these pictures. I just needed to be in there. I go in there, download the whole file, upload them to where they need to go. Boom, 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 done.
That's amazing. Very cool. I'm going to look into that tomorrow, because I actually have a Zapier account, but I don't use it the way I should. Yeah. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And then the other thing I wanted to ask you about was showing your work. So I think that's something that a lot of people are uncomfortable with a little bit. So do you have any tips for like becoming more comfortable with like not bragging on yourself, but feeling like you're bragging on yourself?
Yeah. So I would just say like own it, right? So that sounds very like, yes. Like just talk about it naturally, because there's going to be spaces where people feel like you're bragging and you're just literally just talking about what you do for your day. Because if I'm a millionaire and I'm in a room full of this is maybe a terrible mean example. I'm in a homeless shelter, and I said, today was really hard. The maid didn't clean out the bathroom the way I requested. I seem like a jerk, right? In that setting, I seem like a jerk. But if I'm in, with like my other friends and colleagues that have like maids and butlers, this is like a real concern. Then they're asking me, do you think everything is okay? Are you trying to like hire somebody new? So this is a legit concern. So when I say that, it's just like, be authentic about it. Don't purposely try to brag. If you're not trying to brag, then you shouldn't feel fine, but just talk about what you're doing as if you're, to almost talk about it as if somebody else is doing it, until you feel more comfortable with talking about it, because the feelings that you get from not talking about it allows you to lose so much opportunity that you're being unfair to yourself, right? You're trying to protect everybody's feelings, but you're keeping yourself from potentially, securing that next opportunity. We've seen all the movies where like the person that knows how to sing doesn't really sing, and then they finally sings in like a weird bathroom, and then somebody hears them and they become famous. But it's like that, like, oh, I don't want to sing in front of everybody. Just have it flow, just do it, have it flow naturally. And it's like, it doesn't have to be like, oh, pause, I have a Hollywood star, look at me. It just, I wrote a book, I have a podcast. Just talk about it in like a natural tone, and people will tell if you're trying to like get their attention and force them to think you're cool or bragging about it, versus if you're just saying what you do, and not be afraid to say what you do. Some people have done and accomplished some amazing things, but then they have the feeling of like, I have to be silent about this. And this especially happens to in communities of women and communities of color, where it's like, I have to be more humble and shy, or like, not full of ego, right? But it's like, no, you did that, own it. So that's my best advice. And the book Show Your Work is also very helpful. It has some really cool creative tips about like just saying it and going out there, because somebody else is gonna do it, and they probably are lying about it. And they'll get the attention that you actually deserve for the work.
I liked what you were saying too earlier about how you're using it as basically a channel to share your knowledge. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, even if you do sound a little bit like you're bragging on yourself, you're still providing them a huge service at the same time. So, exactly. I mean, it's for their benefit.
Exactly.
And then last question related to that, are there any specific softwares or platforms that you would recommend if you wanted to start a blog?
Quick and easy is always like a WordPress blog or a Weebly. So my first blog was on Weebly. I didn't learn WordPress until like maybe 3 years ago. And so I was quick and easy is always like a Weebly or Squarespace blog. Super, even less quick and super faster is like a Medium or LinkedIn articles. That's also considered a blog. So just getting it somewhere public, and not being afraid of, oh, I didn't get any likes today. My first blog had 0 likes, like 0 comments, and then a post here would go and get interest, a post there might get interest, but overall it was maybe like 500 people a month coming to the website. But that allowed me to keep practicing the skill of writing, keep practicing the skill of putting myself out there. So now when I have a bigger audience, I'm not scared, because I'm just like, it's just still me putting it out there. You build up that muscle, you build up that habit of putting it out there, not over obsessing about it, but just saying, hey, I did that, it's out there in the world. And that's kind of going to be a part of your legacy too, right? The internet is where, that's the archive. So before we were using books, and then we're still looking at, what's it called, hieroglyphics, what was it called, from like the ancient times. People want to read what you're writing. We're literally trying to read the blogs of pharaohs, literally. So put your blog out there. Somebody, 100 years from now, 200 years from now, they'll be reading it on Mars. Like, oh my God, look at what Marcy was doing.
I need to do more blog writing, so I'm going to take your advice on that one. Worst comes to worst, if I get a fancy blog in the future, I can just copy and paste it right in there, right?
Exactly. Like, oh, throwback.
Beauty of the internet.
Yeah, and people think you're so cool. Like, they're like, oh my God, you were talking about this 5 years ago before it happened. I'm like, yeah, nobody read it the first time, and now 1 million people want to comment. Leave me alone, okay?
You have the receipts. That's all that matters.
Exactly. That's what it is about, building up that habit.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Georgie. I certainly learned a lot. I hope everybody else did too. We're so grateful for you to take time with us today. If anybody has follow-up questions for Georgie, I am going to be sharing her contact info, as long as that's cool with you, Georgie,
Yes, it
after
is.
this. And you'll also receive the recording. But again, thank you so much. If you want to join us for another webinar, events.fiverr.com. They're all posted there. We would love to have you back again. So that's it. Thank you so much, everybody, and I hope you have a great night.
All right. Thank you so much, Marcy. I'll talk to you soon.
Perfect. Bye.
Bye.